Okay, everybody, this is the Traditions Kentucky Pistol Kit, where you get to build your own muzzleloading pistol. Now, this is not a flintlock. This is a percussion cap pistol. So there's a cap that goes on there. And hopefully, if you follow along with me long enough, we're going to go through the whole entire setup of how to build this thing. Don't worry about the little burn marks that are on here. That was me with a torch going across to get any burrs off. And basically, the first thing you want to do is just do a rough sanding of everything. And then once you get the rough sanding done, you want to do a test fitting to make sure that everything lines up like it's supposed to. Now, before you do that, though, you kind of want to get all of the screws ready so that they don't strip and that they're going to go in right every time. Now, me, personally, a favorite of mine, I use frog paste. There are other people who do have problems with it. I personally do not have any problems with it at all. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take some of the pieces that you have and you're going to want to just put a little bit there on the threads. This is, of course, not the final fitting, so we will clean all these up very well when the time comes, because as you can see, that plug is now capped with frog glue, but we're going to take care of that. And you're going to want to go ahead and do a test fitting of everything. So this right here is the nipple where the percussion cap is going to go. And you're just going to want to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth in there to make sure that you've got a smooth thread on there. When you go to actually put everything together, everything will fit like it's supposed to. Essentially, the way this mechanism works, just so people out there who do not know how muzzleloading works, this is where the actual nipple sets. There is a percussion cap that goes on top of here, a lot like the old cap guns that you would have that took the little bitty circle cylinder cartridges, except it's one single one and it's not attached in a circle with the rest of them. There's also a plug that goes on the end of here. Essentially, the end of this barrel is completely and totally sealed off. What you will do is you will take black powder, whether that be fine black powder or Pyrex pellets, shove them down in here, and then the gun came with something called a ramrod. And this ramrod would be used to push the powder down in there, and then you would take a 50 caliber ball with a wad, which is also a little bitty cotton wad to go in between the black powder and the actual ball. You would press this down in there and then get it seated all the way at the back of this chamber. Now, the old flintlock rifles, they didn't have the nipple. They had a little bitty tray right here that you would have to put a little bit of excess powder. The hammer would come down and strike like a match, lighting it and igniting the powder in here and propelling the ball forward. With this being a percussion cap, you have the hammer here, and this is going to sit just like this. You're going to push the percussion cap down on here. You're going to pull fully back on the hammer. Once you pull the trigger, this falls down, igniting the powder inside here with the spark and propelling that 50 caliber ball forward, destroying anything in its path because it's basically a legalized cannon. So the video may speed up a little bit here. I'm going to go ahead and burnish everything, and then I will show you how we're going to test fit everything together. So just bear with me. Okay, now that we've burnished all the screws and made sure that they all fit in their proper little receptacles here, we're going to do a dry fit to see if there's any extra sanding that needs to be done. Now, I won't be putting on these except for, because this right here, of course, just sits in there like this. This is actually the ramrod holder that actually holds this onto the gun. The only one that we're really going to be worried about is this one here. And as you can see, because of the sleeve, it's got to go down in there quite a ways. So I'm going to simply take and push my finger right here, push it down. We're very close, but as you can see, not quite where I want to be. It looks like it's hitting about right there. So we will take a round file, go inside here, and begin to file that out. Right now I can't get this to come out, but that is perfectly fine, because we'll get it out later with something else. Either way, we're going to go ahead and test fit this and make sure the rest of this works. That'll give me a good reference point. So this is going to be your lovely percussion hammer that's going to go in here like this. There is a little bitty device right here. This is the retaining clip for the rod when it goes down in through here, and it sits right there. Basically what happens is that when the barrel sits on top of it, it creates a little bit of tension there, holding that rod in place when the gun is fired. So you're going to take this right here. This is going to go in to the side here. You're going to take and make sure that this is facing down. There we are. And now that is going to just lightly screw in. And again, I don't have to get these things all the way down really, really hard. It's simply a test fitting. When we actually fit everything together, everything will then be put down very snugly. Okay, get that out of the way here. And then we're going to take the second one here. This is going to go right across. And this is the bolt that's going to go right in behind the hammer. And as you can see from me just doing this, it catches very easy. And there we have that. Now the hammer is on here. So the way that this works is that the hammer gets pulled back, okay? The locking mechanism in there, you have a trigger, and you can see that little silver rod right there, that once it is hit and pushed forward, if I can get it to do it, we'll do it with the actual trigger. This is the bar that goes up and through there. So once the trigger gets pushed up and forward, the hammer goes forward, igniting the percussion cap. Now, this right here is going to seat right down in here, and you can see there's a big bore hole right there. That is where the top of the muzzle, the actual chamber, is going to sit. There is only one thing that we're not going to get put on here, and that's because it's an extremely tight fit, but we're going to go ahead and get this on here and see what we have. So that being said, you're going to push down on this a little bit. We're going to see how this fits. I'm going to push the hammer back so that I get it out of the way, and I can get this firmly seated down where it needs to go. And I can see the hole all the way through there. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but you can see the hole all the way down through there. We're going to push a little bit more and get that thing really seated down in there, because this big old bolt that's going to go down in through here has got to have enough tread to get a hold of this. Yes, I said tread. I made the mistake. You can see right there where it's at, and that's going to attach to this. It's still popping up right there, so we are going to go ahead and screw this down. Alrighty, and then trigger is a little bit loose here. We'll do some of that. We'll do some work with it, essentially, and then we're going to take the nipple here. Sorry about the shaking, people. And the nipple's going to go right here. I'm going to tighten this down a little bit. We actually don't need it on here right now because, again, it is simply just a test fit. And it's wanting to be a pain in the hind end to get on there right now. There we go. There we go. And on one side of this, on opposite sides of this nipple is some flat indents, so that whenever you go to put it on, you can get it really good and snug down there, because you want that to be really good and snug on there. The only thing that we're not going to fit on the gun right now, besides this, because I'm going to have to rasp that out, we're not going to put the sights on there. You have a lovely V shape that is going to slide into the top of this, and then you also have the golden fin that's going to go on the front of this. We're not going to put those in right now because I still have to clean this barrel off completely and blue it to give it that lovely blackish dark blue hue. And the only other thing that we're not going to do is we are not going to get this on there just yet. This right here that comes from the factory, unfortunately, they don't want you taking away too much of the material when it comes to the wood. Instead, they want you to file down the actual metal itself. And as you can see, because there is this hole here, that's going to screw into this hole with one of the smaller screws. But over here, you have to actually drill a pilot hole to get that screw in there. This right here, as you can tell from looking, that ain't gonna fit. That ain't gonna fit. And they don't want you taking away the actual wood part of it. Like I said, they want you to file down the metal of this. Now, this right here, also, as you can see, you may be able to, you may not, and I apologize if you can't. The hole doesn't line up quite right there. So I may need to file off some from this. Now, I can make it pretty much fit pretty close if I go in from this end and then cinch it down a little bit. We're really close for it fitting right there, which means I may just have to take some off of this to get that fit in, but we want everything to fit snugly on this pistol so that nothing goes bad. Okay, so now that we've actually dry fit everything and made sure that everything works, we're now going to stain the wood parts. You want to get it sanded down really smooth and make sure that everything is good to go on here before you stain it. I am using Mini Wax Poly Shades, stain and poly in one step. So this should not only stain the wood, but also protect it. And I'm actually choosing to do a satin aged barrel. A little bit of a different color, more of a darker gray instead of the cherry wood red, because it's just a color that I like and I want to go through. So just stick with me and watch, and we'll speed this process up and show you the end result. Okay, now that the majority of it is painted, we've got one coat on there. We're going to let it dry and let it all the colors come through. This is also kind of almost a see-through, so you will see some of the wood grain on there. I again apologize for any of the weird angles while I was painting. I don't have the best setup to record this, but I try my best. And also, I should have said this to begin with. You may have noticed I walked away for a little bit because I wanted to grab this right here, because even though it says not for shellac or lacquer, it does really good on applying this, a lot better than the bristle brush that I had. So we're going to do that. This right here is almost completely dry. We still got a little bit of ways to go. Of course, with the actual rod here, it's not going to have a lot of wood grain patterns. That's mainly going to pop out on the gun itself. I should have said this to begin with. Make sure you wear gloves, because this stuff is sticky as all get out. You may have noticed me walk away, not only to get that, but also to get a pair of gloves, because I got some of it on one of my fingers, and yeah, you're going to play hell getting it off. So we'll let this dry. We'll come back after this coat dries and see if maybe we want to do a second coat. Who knows? But we'll see when it dries. It's been a few days, and I am sorry that I didn't film this part here. But if you remember in the earlier videos, this was silver. This is actually a permablue that I have put on there. It's a very simple process to do. You have to clean it off with alcohol, and then the one that I use is this right here. You want to squirt this into a different container, take a paintbrush and paint it over top of this, and like magic, it starts to turn black. After you've coated the entire thing and let it set for a minute, go rinse it off in water, and then you can come back and redo it again. But that being said, since that is now done, everything is ready on this gun now for us to completely and totally put it together. So just follow along and we'll see how it goes. First of all, we're going to start with this right here, which is the screw that goes on the end of here. And before I do any shooting with this at all, I'm going to go back and tighten everything else down to make sure. That's going to seal that up right there. I'll actually take this real quick and put this in there because I can get more leverage and tighten it down some more. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and grab the lovely little nipple here that holds the cap. We'll get it started. And like I said, I will have to take a wrench to this. They make specialized wrenches. I do not have one of those, but I'll have to take a wrench to this on those flat ends and get that tightened down really well as well. Okay, so barrel's ready to go. And now we're going to take this first bolt here, slide that in, and then we're going to take the lovely retaining clip that holds the rod. We'll put that down. We'll go ahead and get the hammer seated in here, and we will lightly start this. And the reason why we want to lightly start it is because the barrel has to sit down within these grooves, and if you tighten this up all the way and push it all the way over, the barrel will not seat down into the gun like it's supposed to. So you can get them started, but don't tighten them all the way down, because they have got, you get them tightened all the way down after the barrel's put in there. Okay. So let me slide that in just a little bit more. Okay, so now we've got all that. I sanded this down with this lovely round file. Went in here and sanded it out to make it a little bit more easier for this to go in. So we've got to line that hole up right there with that hole and put the bolt in there. So we're going to slide this down a little bit until we can see the hole. Just need to turn it a little bit because it's not quite there. Come on. Turn it just a little bit over to the side. There it is. Okay, that's what these little gold screws are for. Go down in here. I'll go ahead and get that started. And again, as far as these go, you don't want to tighten them all the way down all the way either just yet. Because if you do, they will go further in through the hole on this and preventing the rod from sliding in and out. It'll also scratch this up like crazy. These are okay to be loosely fit on here. They don't have to be super, super tight. And like I said, if you do go super, super tight, it's going to hold on to that rod for sure, because it's not going to want to let it go. And you're going to scratch up the side of it really, really bad. So we're going to take this and put this down in here too. Again, remembering to not go all the way down. And so we'll see now if the rod, there we go. See right there, I'm getting just a little bit of resistance, but it's not enough that it's going to mar this up. If I had tightened them down any further, it would be scratching the entire thing coming out through there. But that rod is on there, and it fits perfectly fine. All right, now for the piece de resistance, the barrel. The barrel is going to go down in here. We're going to pull this hammer back, slide this forward, push it all the way down as far as it will go inside the gun. And like I said, you can see right here where, again, that groove right there, if you had tightened this all the way up, it's going to prevent the actual, this groove right here that sits down in here, it will prevent it from sitting down in here like it's supposed to. Trigger is going to go up and through here, just like that. Slide that down. And then we'll go ahead and start tightening that up. Now this is definitely a component right here that I want to be very tight, because this little pin right here, this screw, is essentially the only thing holding this gun back here in the back, holding the barrel down to the gun. So you want to make sure that that's tight. You also want to make sure that it's going to decrease the play in this. The pistols of that time, they had play in the triggers, and this does have just a little bit of play, but not as bad as some of the other ones that I've seen. So, but yeah, you want to tighten that one down really, really well. And then we're going to take this right here, which is this gold cap, and these little black screws here. They're going to go in here like this. Oh, that one did not want to go all the way down. I think maybe, no, sorry, that was the wrong screw. It's these bigger screws here. I apologize. I'm trying to make this video as quick as I can. My videos tend to run long, I know, because I'm a talker and I do this, but hopefully y'all are enjoying me talking and enjoying the process of building this gun that is a part of America's history. Oh, come on. Every other screw in this thing has had no problem going in, and then you want to be the pain in the hind end that doesn't want to go. There we go. Finally got it to catch. We'll tighten these down really good too, because this is something that goes through the wood at the end and then screws in to the bottom of the barrel here. Okay, so last little bit. I filed this down as much as I could. I filed that down a little bit as well. And then the only other filing that I did, I know I went against my words here. There is a little bit of material right here that is missing, where I took a rasp and did this just so that it would be easier for me to go in. It is still definitely a tight fit, but that's perfectly fine. You're going to want to push this down here, which is perfectly fine as well. That will go in there. Oh, sorry. Slide this. Sorry about that. I was trying to tighten this screw down here. I'm trying to get it lined up, and when I did, and I moved this thing over, it decided it wanted to shoot the trigger guard all the way across the room. Because basically, in here, it's like a dadgum spring. Okay, that one's seated all the way down, and we got this one down here. Smack that right into the cup. This was the wood screw that has to be bored out. Well, it has to be drilled out with a drill bit to fit this down in there. You don't want to go all the way down in, because you want the screw to actually have a little bit of bite on there. But honestly, like maybe 1/4 of an inch down, just to get it started and to make sure that the wood is not going to split. Okay, we are almost done. Almost done. I'm going to go ahead and pull the trigger here and let this hammer down, and it will rest. Slide this in here. Okay. Now we have our sights, and the sights are they're an old style sight, iron sights, but you can see right here how that groove is. You want the bigger part of the V right there, the groove indentation, to be facing towards you, and then this is going to slide right in here. And so this is once it's in here, it's pretty well. You can still move it to the side if you need to, but it's going to be so that you can adjust the sights. You can adjust the sights if it's shooting left or shooting right, depending upon where it's at. And then we have the lovely gold fin right there. I'm going to slide this bad boy in and try to get that as centered as we can on the barrel. And there we go. And there she is, ladies and gentlemen. A Kentucky Traditions 50 caliber muzzleloading pistol. And now it's time to see how she shoots. Now, unfortunately for me, we are burning daylight. I just wanted to show y'all real quick. This is a little tube thing that I bought. This holds your powder, this holds your round, this also holds the cap. This right here is the ball starter, very handy to have. So we're going to try to fire this thing one time before we lose all of the daylight that we have. And just to let y'all know, I am using a lead slug that is called a Plains Hunter instead of a 50 caliber ball. You can still use the slugs in these, but they have to be pure lead so that it doesn't mar the barrel up. So real quickly, we're going to show you how we get this thing loaded. Okay, we've got our gun here. Okay, first thing you're going to do is take this. This is going to be 30 grains of powder. With the powder, you can go up to the caliber of the bullet with these old types of pistols. So you could go up to 50 if you wanted to. Right now we're just doing 30. Okay, and like I said, we've put all this stuff together. These particular pellets here, you can see the slug, okay, how it's right there. And then we're going to take this and push this down in there, because it doesn't want to go in. There we go. They take a lot. You take your ramrod out, and the ramrod pushes it all the way down to the base of the gun. Okay, you want to make sure that it is all the way down in there, because if you don't, and there's an air pocket in there, it could cause the barrel to explode. Now, I need to readjust these sights. This also will hold the little bitty cap. I don't know if y'all can see that. We're going to take this cap off. Okay. And then what you do, if y'all can see it, half cock. This little bitty cap goes on top of there like that. When you're ready to fire, you full cock. I'm going to pull the hammer fully back and take a shot at it and see how she does. There you go.
I saw the light in a sunrise, sitting back in a 40 on the muddy riverside, getting baptized in holy water and shine with the dogs running. Saved by the sound of a pin found Dixie whistle in the wind that'll get you head
that's it, folks. If you've stuck around with me for this long, I appreciate it. And I'm just going to sit here and enjoy my jerky.
Why did you buy another gun?
Because America, that's why.